Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. May we stay healthy and be in the protection of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Amin ya rabbal alamin. I'm here in this opportunity. I will present about Cangelosi taxonomy and cognitive domain. Before I start my presentation, I will introduce myself first. I'm Mutiara Hayyu from Mathematics Education's Faculty of Mathematics and Science, Universitas Negeri Padang. And also, I would like to thanks to Professor Dr. Ahmad Fauzan, M.Pd, M.Sc, and Dr. Yulyanti Harisman, S.Si, M.Pd, as a lecturer in these courses. Then I will present about Cangelosi taxonomy domain. The first, I will give a simple information about the definition. In cognitive domain, the purpose of a goal is to students can do something mentally. For example, the students can remember facts or find ways to solve the problem. As we see in this slide, the level of Cangelosi in cognitive domain, there are two. The first is knowledge and intellectual. For the knowledge is divided by two. The first is simple knowledge, known as C1, and knowledge of the process, known as C2. The next is intellectual. There are four levels in intellectual. The first is communication, known as C3, and then conceptualization, known as C4, and then application, known as C5, and then exceeding application, known as C6. I will give a simple example each level. The first is simple knowledge, known as C1. The teacher gives a question to stating the formula for the mean, median, and mode. This is for the 12th grade maths. In this level, students' understanding determining by how well they remember information. This becomes irrelevant to the goal of simple knowledge if students use reasoning or higher order cognitive process to determine the response for the question. And then knowledge of the process, known as C2. The example is when the students can calculating the area of a triangle if given the height. For this level, the behavioral construct of the target level of knowledge is considered knowledge of the process if the content that students must remember is a sequence of steps in a produce. So the students can answer and calculating well. Next is communication, known as C3. In this level, the example that I take is after studying in a rectangle, each student can summarize the discussion conclusion and tell some evidence supporting those conclusions. The target of understanding communication requires students to determine the explicit meaning and or imply of a message. Message content or method communicate or convey the message must be explained by the content of the target. And then C4 is conceptualization. For the example is, the students can answer the teacher's question about an example of a problem in daily life which can be solved by permutation. This is conceptualization because the goal is require students to use inductive reasoning. And then the next is application or C5. For example, there are 7 people sit around the round table. Determine the number of arrangements seat if not available provision. The purpose of the application requires students to understand deductive reasoning to decide how to explain particular problem. When faced with a problem, students who application goals can determine whether process, principle, facts, formulas, laws, or other relationships specified in the content of the target are relevant. And the last is C6, exceeding application. For the example I take is there are 8 people, namely Ani, Guna, Cinta, Dudi, Erna, Vivi, JP, and Henny, who will be meeting at a room with sitting position circular. Find their many ways to sit down if Cinta and Vivi don't want to sit close together. And for this, some goals require students to exhibit higher cognitive behavior from the application level. This goal requires students to think creatively so that can inspect, generate, or view content, and the students can answer the question well. That's all from me about the Cangelosi taxonomy in cognitive domain. Hope it make beneficial for all of us. See you in the next opportunity. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.